Hi everyone, today we are talking about how to combine your operations when using your integers. So all that means is now we can give you problems that have addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division in them. You might have heard about these questions with the phrase order of operations, and it might make you think of something called PEMDAS. That's basically the same thing. So there are rules when we have a combination of our different operations. So first, we evaluate the expressions within the innermost pair of parentheses first if there's more than one pair of parentheses. So that's where the P comes from. P stands for parentheses. And it says that we're going to start from the inside out. So I'm going to add that in my notes. And then we evaluate the exponents. That's our E in PEMDAS. Then comes multiplication and division, working from left to right. So whatever you see first. So if you see division first, then you're going to work on division. If you see multiplication first, going from left to right, you work on multiplication. So it's whatever you see first, going from left to right. Okay, and then addition and subtraction. That's the AS in PEMDAS. Same thing, left to right, whatever you see first. Sometimes people think you have to solve the multiplication and then the division, but there's actually these arrows underneath the multiplication and division and the addition and subtraction. And with parentheses, we'll show you some examples where you'll see not just one pair of parentheses, but a bunch, so you have to work inside out. Okay, so P stands for parentheses, E stands for exponents, M is multiplication, D division, A is addition and subtraction. Okay, so you might want to add these little pieces on top to give you just a hint as to what PEMDAS stands for. But this should definitely be in your notes, especially these arrows on the bottom and this reminder to work on parentheses starting from the inside, then out. All right, so let's work on these 4 problems. You can go ahead and pause the video and try it on your own first. I'm going to go ahead and put in our PEMDAS reminders on the side as we work. You can have your notes out to help you, but I do want you to pause the video and try these 4 problems on your own first by following the order of operations, or PEMDAS for short. All right, let's try A together and see if you got the correct answer. I'm going to rewrite it down here. There's negative 16. It's in parentheses. There's nothing to do inside the parentheses, so it doesn't actually count as this first step. It just has parentheses to kind of protect this negative and make sure that the negative stays with the 16. So you'll notice that when there's a negative number, a negative integer, you'll see parentheses around it. You don't actually do anything with your order of operations. It's just there to make sure that those two are together because they have to stay together. Make sure they don't get separated. All right. So like I said, we don't really need to do anything for the parentheses. There's nothing to solve inside. It's just telling you negative 16 and negative 9. So we don't have to do anything for parentheses. Let's go on to E, exponents. I don't see any powers, so there's no exponential work that needs to be done. Then I go on to multiplication or division, whichever I see first. I first see multiplication, so I'm actually going to underline that to show in my work that that's the first step that I do. Okay, and then I'm doing 16 times 9. I'm going to take out my calculator for that. 16 times 9 is 144. These are negative integers. Negative times negative is positive, so it is a positive 144. Then I copy back down that divide by 6. I'm not touching it yet. So I did my multiplication and division, whichever came first. I saw multiplication. Now all I have left is division. So I have to solve 144 divided by 6, and then my answer is 24. And I'm going to circle that as my answer. All right, let's head on over and try B. B has 23 minus 56 divided by negative 8. They protected that in the parentheses, plus negative 5. Running out of room over there. So let's go ahead and go down our list. Parentheses, we got to solve whatever's inside first. Nothing to solve, it's just giving us a value. Then we go on to exponents, no exponents that I see here. So then we go on to multiplication or division, whichever one we see first. So I'm scanning, I see a subtraction, I see a division. Okay, so that'll be my first step. 23 I didn't touch, I'm going to copy it back down. Then I have negative 56 divided by negative 8. So 56, you can do that in your head or in your calculator. 56 divided by 8 should be 7. Okay, they're both negatives. The 56 is negative. That negative belongs to the 56, not to the 23. This negative over here belongs to the 8. So it's two negatives divided by each other, which would be a positive. So it's a positive 7. We change that to a plus 7. So positive and adding is the same. And then we don't forget that we have an add negative 5 at the end that we didn't touch. Okay, so you'll see it kind of creates this upside down triangle the more you work on stuff that involved order of operations, because you're simplifying it all the way down to one answer. All right, so no more multiplication, division. Now we're working on addition and subtraction, whichever we see first. I see an addition first, 23 plus 7. They're both positives, so we're going to get a positive answer of 30. Whatever we don't deal with, we're going to copy back down. This is very important because sometimes people do stuff in their heads and then they end up getting the wrong answer, or they end up not following order of operations because they're jumbling it all up in their head. So it's very important for you to do one step at a time. Last step is just to add 30 to negative 5. I have a positive and a negative that are being added to each other. So remember, just like our positive and negative coins, right? Certain positives and negatives will cancel each other out. So if we have different signs, we're actually subtracting. 30 minus 5 is 25. I'm going to have way more positives left over, so this answer is positive. Different signs, you subtract and take the sign of the greater digit. So this answer is 25. Let's go on to part C. Hopefully you got those two correct. It's negative 7 squared. Nothing to do inside the parentheses, so we go on to exponents. Negative 7 squared is the same as negative 7 times negative 7. So let me just show my work in expanded form. 7 times 7 is 49. They're both negative. Negative times negative is positive, so it stays positive. Okay, and last one, D, negative 7 squared. Ooh, I notice it looks just like C, except there's no parentheses. So when that happens, remember, when the parentheses is around the number, that means the negative belongs to the 7. When it doesn't have a parentheses, that means that negative doesn't belong to the 7. So when I look at the square, I am just squaring the 7. So I have a negative, and then my 7 is being multiplied by itself, like that. That negative doesn't belong to the 7, but it still stays in the front here. So then I have a negative 7 now times a positive 7. Negative times positive is negative. So this answer is negative 49. So that's why we have the parentheses around our negative numbers. It shows that they belong together. Whatever they do, they have to stick together. If there's no parentheses, that means that negative is just kind of hanging out on its own, and then the 7 is doing its own thing, being squared on its own. Okay, so hopefully you got those correct. And then we're going to move on to just one more example. All right, so here's example 14. Go ahead and pause the video, try this one on your own first. Okay, let's go ahead and try this. All right, so we're going to start with parentheses. Wow, I have a lot of parentheses. Let me use a different color to show you. Well, this one doesn't really count as a parentheses because it's just the parentheses to show that negative and 2 are together. Okay. Same with this, but I do have these brackets out here, if you notice. So we're going to treat those like parentheses. So we're going to work on whatever's inside here first. Okay. So those are called brackets, and we're going to work on that first. So everything else we don't touch because we're not doing anything with them. Okay, but we're going to solve whatever's in here first. So -5 plus -1 means I have 5 negatives, and then I have an extra 1 negative. So in total, I have 6 negatives. So again, we're keeping it in the parentheses, 6 negatives, so -6, and then we have a square outside, divided by -4. Okay, so let's review what just happened. Everything I didn't touch, I'm copying back down. This times 7 I didn't touch. This minus in front of the brackets I didn't touch. I'm copying it back down. -5 plus -1 is -6. I'm keeping that in parentheses because I want to show that the negative belongs with the 6. And then I don't forget that power up on top, the squared, divided by -4 in parentheses. Okay, so I feel like the parentheses can be kind of tricky, so that's why we really have to show our work and really be on top of things and make sure that we don't change anything that we haven't touched. Just copy it right back down. Okay, so we finished parentheses. Let's go on to exponents. Ooh, we got a couple of exponents we can deal with. Let's deal with all our exponents together on the same step. Okay, so this is -2 times -2 times -2, and this is -6 times -6. Okay, so 2 times 2 times 2 would be 2 times 2 is 4, 4 times 2 is 8, and then I have, let me draw my little cheat sheet, a negative times a negative, negative times negative is positive, but then I have another negative, so now we have the positive from here with another negative, so positive times negative back to negative again. So this whole answer, -2 cubed, is equal to -8. I'm going to put that in parentheses because I want to make sure my negative stays with my 8, times 7, which I didn't touch all the way up here, minus, which I also didn't touch. Now we have the -6 times -6. 6 times 6 is 36. And this is 2 negatives, which gives us a positive. So keep that as a positive, 36. This minus came from up there, okay? So don't think like, oh no, I gotta get rid of this minus because it shows that it's -36. No, this is a subtraction that we never touched, so we gotta bring it back down. Okay, divide by -4. Okay, so slowly we are simplifying. Okay, we finished our exponents. Now we do multiplication or division, whichever we see first. I see a multiplication here. Let's do that first. -8 times 7. Well, 8 times 7 is 56. We have a negative and a positive. Negative and positive is negative. So it becomes a -56. Copy everything else down that we didn't touch to make sure that we got everything and we're not doing things out of order. Okay, still on multiplication or division, whichever I see first. Okay, I see a division now. Let's do this one. -56, I didn't touch. -36 divided by -4 now. So this 36 divided by 4 is typically, if they're positive, it's a 9. But now we have 2 negatives. Negative times negative is positive. Okay, so, and we are missing a sign here, so we'll make it into an addition because it's positive. One more step left. Negative 56 plus 9. Now we're on to addition or subtraction. There's only addition. Negative 56 plus 9. They're different signs, so we know stuff is going to be canceled, right? So we're going to do subtraction. 56 minus 9 is 47. There's more of the negatives, so the answer is going to be negative. The answer is negative 47.